What's up, YouTube fragrance family? Tommy with Studio Sense here on day 3 of the Gentleman series. The first day I talked about retro gentleman fragrances. Day 2 I talked about mature gentleman fragrances, and today is all about the modern gentleman, which basically means any kind of fragrance that is a really good, solid representation of that brand, plus a bit of a fresh, new way to define an elegant, fresh, clean gentleman. And so that's what today's video is about. We're going to do a top 10 of what I consider to be some of the best gentleman fragrances for the modern man right after this. Welcome back, friends, to my top 10 fresh, clean, and unique fragrances for the modern gentleman. Now, I don't really have to define modern for you, whether you're Gen Alpha, Gen Z, a baby boomer, or whatever. I guess if you're Gen Alpha, then you're probably too young to be watching this video, mostly. But basically, what I mean by modern is not something that was necessarily produced within the last couple of years, although that can be the case, but fragrances that best represent what's fresh, what's new, what's avant-garde about their brand. And I think I've got some of the best in these 10. As always, all the fragrances that I'm talking about today are linked in the description. You can click on, check them out, purchase them if you want to. And they're all relatively inexpensive with the exception of a couple of them. These are very affordable, very inexpensive, and in some cases, very cheap. So coming in at number 10 is a fragrance from a little known house called Pepe Jeans London. To me, it's kind of a surprise freshie from a brand that you really don't expect much out of, but they kind of set a standard with this one, and that's Pepe Jeans Cocktail Edition for him. Now, the bottle is modeled after a drink shaker or a cocktail shaker. That's why it's called Cocktail Edition for him. And it's got kind of a multicolored gradient going on, starting with blue, morphing into a lighter blue and into a green. So it gives you an idea of what the fragrance is. It's a very fresh, very lemony, very citrusy kind of fresh fragrance for the modern gentleman. It also has kind of a youthful playfulness to it. It's kind of based on the idea of going out to drink with friends after work, responsibly, of course, and having a good time. That kind of youthful energy that comes with rubbing shoulders with your good friends or your workmates. And that's why it's coming in at number 10. Coming in at number 9 is a fragrance from Hugo Boss in the scent line. It is the scent Pure Accord. People kind of dismiss this fragrance as kind of generic or bland, and it's okay if you feel that way about it, but I beg to differ. For representing something that is so well known as the scent line, and yet coming up with something that's soapy, sudsy, fresh, and clean, this is a really good example of that. And Pure Accord, of course, it's in the name itself. And that's why the scent Pure Accord by Hugo Boss is coming in as number 9. That is the case with this next fragrance, though it's sometimes hard to find. Coming in at number 8 is a fragrance by the German house Joop, or Joop. It is Joop Homme the Eau de Parfum. Now, what I love about this, and it really hit me one day when I was wearing Versace Dreamer, and I thought, there's another fragrance that kind of smells like the Dreamer. There are quite a few similarities to Joop Homme Eau de Parfum with Versace Dreamer. And Versace Dreamer made my number 1 in the top 10 gentleman fragrances. And so the fact that this smells even similar is a positive to me, and that's why Joop Homme EDP is coming in as my number 8. Coming in at number 7 is a fragrance by Ralph Lauren in the very popular Polo line, although it's probably not any that you're thinking about. This is actually kind of a reformulation or a redo of the original Polo, which is still outstanding. It's Polo Cologne Intense. What I love about this fragrance is not only is it fresh, spicy, clean, but it has that whole evergreen take on a gentleman fragrance, just like the original Polo, only there's a bit more of a modern spin to it. They make it just a bit more soapy, clean, and fresh, and that's that youthful nuance that they've created in the formula to make this just a bit different than the original Polo. It's familiar enough to the original and yet modernized, and that's why it's coming in at number 7, Polo Cologne Intense by Ralph Lauren. Coming in at number 6 is a fragrance by Lacoste. It's one of their best-selling fragrances for men. It's not necessarily a sport fragrance, though you can wear it like that. It's just an everyday, clean t-shirt and jeans, fresh signature scent kind of fragrance. L1212 Blanc, the Eau de Parfum. I opted for the Eau de Parfum edition, although the EDT is just as nice. This is a bit longer lasting though. If you can wear a fragrance that you really like and it lasts a bit longer, I'm always going to opt for that edition, and this is that. While not being an overtly shower gel fragrance, this is a fresh, clean, out of the shower gel-like kind of fragrance that will put you in mind of any summertime casual setting. Just a great all-around everyday wear. perfect for even high heat situations, which it is in East Tennessee right now. We've got this whole heat wave thing going on. This is the perfect fragrance to wear during those days even, and that's why it's coming in at number 6. Lacoste L1212 Blanc, in this case the Eau de Parfum edition. Alright everyone, we are down to my top 5 fresh, clean, and unique fragrances for the modern gentleman. Some have gotten their hands on it, but a lot of people are really excited getting geared up for Versace Man Eau Fraiche Extreme. But the reason that they're excited is because the original, and that's why Versace Man Eau Fraiche is coming in at number 5. Guys, even though this is coming in at number 5, this is one of the best representations of what a modern gentleman fragrance should be. It's fresh, it's lightly citrusy, it's spicy, it's clean, it's definitely unique, but more than anything, it's hyper versatile, which means it can be worn in any situation, in any circumstance, and it be very appropriate. Definitely a signature scent kind of fragrance, and that's why it's coming in as number 5. I, for one, am looking forward to the extreme version, and I'll have my thoughts, my first impressions on that very soon. Coming in at number 4 is one of my favorite offerings from the house of Gucci. It is Gucci Guilty Black. I was returning something to Amazon at Kohl's the other day, and I went to the fragrance section. There was a young mother and her son looking at fragrances, and she was talking to her son and pointing out what he can't spray on, because apparently he oversprays the samples there. And she was saying, you can only spray this on because your father wears this, and it was Gucci Guilty Black. It is a very popular fragrance for men. Women do love it. They love the smell of it on their spouses, boyfriends, partners. It's another fantastic example of defining clean and elegant in a modern fragrance. And that's why Gucci Guilty Black is coming in as number 4. All right guys, coming in at number 3 is a fragrance that I don't currently have right now. And I normally don't do this, but I'm basing this off of a standard sample size. It's a fragrance by Caron, which I really am very familiar with their lineup. This one I truly love, and I've already ordered a bottle, but I can't wait on it to get here. So coming in at number 3 is Pour un Homme de Caron. This is the sample box for this. This is my second sample box. The first one I've used up. I've already used quite a bit of this second new one that I've gotten. Lavender is the gentleman's fragrance note. Irregardless of whether it's retro, it's mature, or modern, the single note that defines a gentleman fragrance would be lavender. This is a fantastic lavender, minty, fresh fragrance. You know that fresh, clean sensation you get from brushing your teeth, or at least I hope you get that. I do. Imagine taking that sensation and having a whole body experience with it. That's what Pour un Homme de Caron does, and that is why it's coming in at number 3. Coming in at number 2 is a bit of a departure from what you're used to in this list and what I've been talking about in terms of gentleman fragrances, but I love how they've redefined the idea of gentleman in their line that's already well established, and they being Givenchy and the line being the Givenchy Gentleman line, in their new upstart society. I feel this deserves the number 2 spot because it is such a unique, youthful take on what many would say would be like an old, mature fragrance line. Like the original Gentleman is definitely an older, more mature, that's why it made my mature list, fragrance. But what a way to take that DNA, reinvigorate it. Gentleman Society not only has everything that you like about the Gentleman line, it infuses a new, modern, youthful plot twist. It's a very long-lasting fragrance, and that's why it's coming in as my number 2. All right guys, we're down to my number 1 modern example of a gentleman fragrance. For the modern man, for the more kind of youthful, but really can be worn by any age. A good gentleman fragrance is ageless. That's actually a sign of it being a classic fragrance. And I think that's the case for pretty much everything that Guerlain comes out with, but primarily the L'Homme Ideal line and L'Homme Ideal Parfum. Now you could just as easily take L'Homme Ideal, the Eau de Parfum, or the original Eau de Toilette in the place of this. I just personally absolutely adore the Parfum edition. It still has that sweet, milky, creamy almond style, but in a boozy, more masculine, light leather-esque fragrance style. A little bit more mature, but also extremely modernized. What's so interesting is the perfumer is female, and she really has her finger on the pulse of what makes a modern masculine fragrance. This is a masterpiece in my book, and that's why L'Homme Ideal Parfum is my number 1 fresh, clean, and unique modern gentleman's fragrance. Sometimes I like to do honorable mentions of fragrances that didn't quite make the list, although I think they're worth talking about and mentioning very briefly. A really solid fragrance by Guy Laroche is Drakkar Intense. It just has abysmal performance. But if you're looking for a fragrance that smells fantastic, warm, spicy, gentlemanly, it's hard to do better than this. Make sure you keep a bottle with you if you want others to be able to smell it. Another very unique fragrance I don't think gets a lot of airtime is one by Azzaro, and it's Azzaro Visit. This one always surprises me when I try it on. The quality of the fragrance, the kind of gentlemanly, nuanced formula in this is quite unique. So give Azzaro Visit a try. Pay a visit to it. Another one that's actually really good and is a nice citrusy summertime gentleman fragrance is one by Kenneth Cole, and it's Mankind Legacy. Legacy is probably one of the better additions of the line. There are quite a few. Hero's pretty good. This one is the most bright and citrusy and a little bit more in line with the youthful, modern, gentlemanly fragrance. Another great honorable mention is one that you can sometimes find at rack stores. It's a Mont Blanc fragrance, and it's Presence Cool. Now, Presence is great. Cool has more of a sporty gentleman type smell or aroma about it, and it's worth checking out, and it's quite unique and very inexpensive as well. All right, guys, that's my top 10 fresh, clean, and unique fragrances for the modern gentleman, along with the honorable mentions. Now it's time for you to comment and tell me your thoughts. Which ones in this list do you own and do you prefer? Or if I missed one that should have been in this list that is your favorite go-to in terms of a modern gentleman fragrance or brand representation, tell everyone in the comments which one that is or which ones those are. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. As always, thank you so much for your continued support on my channel. I hope you and your family have a safe, awesome day out there. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video review.